I give my best. Okay, so it is an honor to be able to speak to you in this forum. Thank you very much, Mr. Gyorgy Tätar. My first question would be, how did your years as a diplomat lead you into the specific area of genocide prevention?
Actually, I started to work on conflict prevention in 2004 when I was appointed to a head of task force in the European Union, the Council Secretariat of the European Union, under the then High Representative for the EU Common Foreign and Security Policy, Javier Solana, and I led a team of experts who worked on horizontal security issues and also on conflict prevention. And since then, my whole activity is dedicated to the conflict prevention. And then in 2005, I faced the task to do something more in the field of genocide prevention in Europe, because in Europe the capabilities and capacities were not built up, and still we are working on this. And so since then I pay very specific attention to genocide prevention, because actually genocide is the crime of crimes. So if we want to prevent conflicts, then we need to start at least prevention with the extreme violations.
My next question is, as we all know, there is a huge number of conflicts going on in the world at any one moment, and it's easy to oversaturate the global community with all these issues. If you could shift global focus onto one conflict or injustice that currently isn't received enough attention, what would it be?
Well, the point is that we have to deal with all conflicts. So it is obviously there are conflicts, like for example now in Syria, which threaten directly with very huge violations, human rights violations, and even some extreme cases, mass atrocities. So we need to focus on these. So we have to set, of course, priorities. But in each situation, we call it at risk, there could be implied the element of mass atrocity. Therefore, I would not say that there is only one or two very high situations at risk, but I would focus on all of them. There is not so much conflicts in the world which threaten by massive atrocities. So therefore we speak about 15, 20 countries or situations. And we have to focus and we have to deal with all of them. Concerning the justice, this is a very important part of prevention of genocide, because if the perpetrators of crimes are aware of the fact that they will have to be taken or could be taken to the court for their activities, their crimes, then probably it would have already a preventive power. And they would then think about it that they will not perpetrate or commit these type of crimes. So the justice, the issue of justice is very important from the point of view of preventing genocides and mass atrocities.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll pass the microphone to my colleague.
Should I do it with the cable? So my question is, I'm interested in the psychology behind genocide. How society can be led to believe that killing a certain group is acceptable or desirable. This is a broad question, but what are the elements that lead to genocide?
The question is very difficult, so I won't be able to elaborate it within the framework of this interview. But the point is, which is very important, that the way leading to genocide and mass atrocities is a long way. Of course, there might be very, very quick attempts, and the process could also be quick and rapid. But the history of genocides learned us that, or taught us that we have some time and significant time to prepare us to prevent this type of genocides, because this is a process, and the process is about the dehumanization. So people do not dehumanize each other within one moment, but the process can progress, and also the threshold of people permanently is increasing. And then all of a sudden they even do not notice that they already speak about the others not as a human being, but as somebody else who doesn't belong to that category. So, and then this is during this process, the psychology of the human being, of the people, has changed. So, and that's why we have to pay attention from the very first moment to the hate speeches, because they could incite mass atrocities. And if you tolerate them, then you tolerate something which might later on lead to something, and then even the population will not see that they have already progressed in that.
Thank you very much. The last question would be, do you think the world overlooks genocide when it is in a civil war like in Rwanda, Sri Lanka, or maybe Syria right now?
The point is that obviously in those countries like Rwanda, where genocide unfortunately happened, there is still the risk. Genocide unfortunately could reoccur. But in these countries, people and also the international community is rather active. And in Rwanda, I do hope that it will not come to any genocide anymore. In those countries, like in Syria, as I said in the beginning, I would speak about mass atrocities, which is a real threat.
Not genocide.
Mass atrocities include genocide. Yeah. The point is that we used to call genocide if a court has defined the situation that was genocide. Right now we speak about very grave human rights violations. What's going on in Syria? Of course, it would be a question of investigations. What was exactly the legal character of those acts? So we have to these acts handle as a group of crimes, and for me, we call it genocide or we call it ethnic cleansing. For me, is the same. This is very, very grave and human rights violation. What will have to be prevented and what will have to be punished. So this is our approach on that.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be able to interview you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Especially what since we have to talk a little bit more. What
Yes.
do you think? Because in Rwanda there are those gachakas.
Yes.
Do you think this could be one of a factor that makes that the pressure that could lead towards a new genocide? Do you think that those gachakas are helpful or not? You know the tribunals.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
really locally, and sometimes people get. Do you think they're helpful to a reconciliation or?
Reconciliation. It's very helpful. It contributes to that because people. It's a point that if you are able to talk about it in a more or less neutral manner and in a calm way, then it already helps to reconciliation.
Okay.
So this is a very important.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, right.
I continue.